good afternoon and welcome back to the S.H.O.P, to the Social Hub of Positivity. And here, just very quickly, I want to just point out this lovely piece of art by Harriet Wyatt, in case I forget to say it. Beautiful art, check it out online, check it out anytime you want to. But as importantly, we have the very wonderful Jo Kitching. I keep getting this wrong. The reason I get it wrong is because I'm an idiot. I want to point that out right away. Jo, I've been fortunate enough to meet Jo, because Jo, who's going to tell you all about herself in a minute, is now the new head honcho at the wonderful Doorway organisation. Jo, how are you?
Very well, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out on such a cold day.
It's a pleasure.
You're very kind. Would you like to tell us, in any order you like, how long you've been at Doorway, what were you doing before, and what are the new plans for Doorway? That's a menu. Pick and choose. Wow. It's a pick and mix.
Okay.
Pick and mix menu, people. What are you saying, Jo?
Right. I took over from the amazing Lisa Lewis back in
Lisa Lewis, another woman.
June 2019, and there were big boots to fill.
Yeah.
So I've been here for probably just over 18 months now, and love it. It's the most rewarding job I have ever done in my life. And the reason that I got to know about Doorway in the first place is that because in my previous life I used to help people, wealthy people, find houses. And there seemed to be an imbalance there. I was only dealing with property, accommodation for very wealthy people, and I wanted to give something back to people that had nothing. So I started volunteering for Doorway.
Fair play.
A day a week, roughly, and then I became a trustee there, and then when the time came and Lisa gave her notice in, I thought, well, perhaps I'll just sit in the chair for a bit, just to smooth the transition between one and the other. And then after a couple of months doing that, I thought, God, I need to do this. This is what I'm made to do, and I love it. So that's why I'm still here. But obviously the first year was a bit of a roller coaster. Just got my feet under the table, just started to make big plans, and then Corona turned up, which meant that the world turned upside down. Everything that we expected to do on a daily basis stopped. But Doorway made a very clear decision very early on to not stop. So we've kept going. We've stayed open throughout all the lockdowns, from March the 20th, I think 21st last year. We've kept going, but in a kind of minimal needs-based way. So normally we have a room full of people, a bit like this, with about 30 to 40 people in it, all doing what they need to do, having good food, playing games, getting some advice. We can't do that, but we can do all the advice, all the food, all the reassurance at the door. And then we open up still to rough sleepers. So we still have people coming in, but they're people who really need to come in. So people have been sleeping out. There are still people sleeping out even in this freezing weather.
I know. You know, on a personal level, we've been dealing with a young person, not young anymore, a person that used to come to Candu back in the day, and has been homeless recently, and was sleeping in a tent during the first lockdown, sleeping in a tent just outside Chippenham.
Right.
Not on a campsite, you'll probably...
No.
You know,
well, interestingly, if they are sleeping in a campsite, they don't count as homeless.
Well, don't worry about him, because he wasn't in a campsite, but he has recently been housed.
Good, that's good news.
Well, it's fantastic news, because just like yourself, I'm sure many people would consider this, but when you see someone on the street, and you know, we've talked before about Candu Arts have done working alongside brilliant organisations like yourself up and down the country. And some of the feedback we've got from participants is a sense of feeling invisible. So there are enough people that are visible in Chippenham that are quite obviously in need of some support in whatever way, and it's fantastic. We're very fortunate that we've got people like yourselves doing that, because when we wanted to do that homeless project in the year 2000, anywhere and everywhere we looked for funding, no one was interested.
Yeah, there's been a major change in thinking about homelessness recently from the government down, and there's more funding available for it now, definitely, but also there's a better awareness that the problem exists.
Well, reason why we did, in fact, Melanie C first supported our organisation. We were friends previous to that, but she supported us. Give the and a few other things. She raised money in different ways, but the royalties from a single from her first Northern Star. We should play this. I'm going to play this on this podcast. So that visually, just the song that she did, it's amazing. And her and Brian Adams give us the royalties from the acoustic version, which enabled us to do homeless projects. Nottingham, we were loads of places, Swansea, Bristol, did a big thing in London. It was sad enough, and even then, 2000, it's got worse, hasn't it? Hasn't the problem exacerbated?
It has got worse in some ways, yes, because there are far fewer affordable flats available now than there ever have been. So there is a huge number of people who are homeless, but because they're not actually rough sleeping, you don't see them.
Yeah.
So there's a much wider, bigger group of people who are actually homeless than we still appreciate, and these are people who are sofa surfing.
Yes.
The issue of rough sleeping, and we must separate those two because they're quite different things.
Yeah.
Rough sleepers are much more visible, and that's why they've got the attention at the moment, because people in communities don't like to see it. It makes them feel guilty, and they don't like the mess. So that's my view, is that's why we're suddenly starting to do something about this, because it looks really bad for communities and the government that it's happening, which is why there are various policies popping up every now and then, and one is in place at the moment, which is the severe weather emergency provision, or protocol, can never get it right.
Yeah.
And that means that every single person who is rough sleeping on any night should be invited inside, whether that's in a bed and breakfast, a hotel,
wow,
a flat.
really?
Yeah,
who invites them in then?
They can be referred
Yeah.
by various charities, or if you see somebody who's rough sleeping, you can get in touch with with StreetLink and report that person, and that information reaches the council, and they send their outreach team to go and get them in, basically.
Yeah.
However, it's not that straightforward, because there are people who are rough sleeping that the council have experience of and know who they will not bring in, because there are issues with their homelessness status. That's as much as I'll say now, because it gets too boring and complicated. But there is more being done, but it's not being done well enough yet.
So that's interesting. So there's by the very fact that they haven't got any shelter at all and haven't got a home isn't enough to...
No, it's not enough.
Well, now, isn't that an interesting society that we...
Yeah, so if they have their name on a tenancy anywhere,
Yeah.
or on a mortgage deed,
Yeah.
they are considered to have been made themselves deliberately homeless. And if you make yourself deliberately homeless, as in you have somewhere to go but you can't go there, you don't qualify for help. So those are the people that we're seeing more of. So it's people who have relationship breakdowns, mental health, massive problem at the moment.
Yeah.
And people turn up to us, and they're not like people that we've seen in the past. They're people who are appear to be running a good life, but can't go home.
Yeah.
So what do? If they have no money or no access to any money, what do? And the answer is, you have to sleep in a car, or go and find a bush, or go to the church.
We've in the ways that we can over the years. The most regular thing we've done with the Good Selves is, of course, the football, which we haven't been able to do for the first time in 7 or 8 years. But to say that it's part of the highlight of our year, love, obviously, your organisation, Kev, and everyone that's involved with it, and all the participants. There's an ongoing camaraderie stroke. Yeah. I was going to say grudge, it's not a grudge, but it is absolutely a joy to have that, to play, to be part of the inclusion project, which of course involves the Harbour project, which is the refugee project in Swindon, and with the police and all the different organisations coming together. And even if you don't like football, and I know there's plenty of people that don't like football, I'm sure, but it's not really what it's about.
No, it's a great thing. That's a big feature of our calendar. We love that, and we do a football group every Monday, as you know, which is where we get the team from.
Yeah.
And that's been stop, start all the way through. But when it's there, they love it. It's the best thing. It's what they really need. It gives them a sense of cohesion, sense of purpose, a bit of exercise, gets the cheeks red. It's great. That kind of
You
things.
do other things though, don't you? You do a lot of other things. So tell us a bit about that.
So the football thing is so successful for us, and we also run a women's group, which is basically a safe space for some of the female members that come to Doorway, some of our guests, who feel safer in a female-only environment. So they get to do small group work, which includes all sorts of creative stuff like cooking and art, knitting, walking. They go visiting. They go to Westonbirt every year. They do a scarecrow for the King to Langley Scarecrow competition every year. They won a prize last year. So we are finding that smaller group work works really well. So when we move premises, which we're about to do at some point in the spring, we're going to focus a little bit more on that kind of thing. So we'll be doing a bit more music, hopefully, a little bit more art in mixed groups, but smaller groups. And that's where the issues come out. So it's that very small, safe space where people start talking about drawing and then finish talking about something that happened with their benefits last week. And that's how we get those problems out, by giving them the kind of relaxed atmosphere. And by building up the trust.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be doing hopefully many more things with many more people. So we'd love to do more stuff with you, where it makes sense to do that. We also will have a bigger space that we can offer to other groups.
Talk about your new space. That's really exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah, we haven't signed the lease yet, so we're just.
You don't have to say anything about it. We can put this as an add-on to this.
No, we're pretty sure we're going to do it. We've agreed terms. We just haven't signed the lease, so we will do. It's a town centre location. It's the Citadel, which is
and visible as well.
Right in the middle of the town. And that is really good for Doorway because it breaks down that barrier. It makes us be a bit brave. So it's much easier for us to kind of step back, do our thing quietly in the background. Actually, the people that we work with, our guests, are just like everybody else in Chippenham. So it's much better if we're able to say, this is what we're doing, and have a look, these are the people that we see. And that will enable, so if we can start to do some group work which mirrors what goes on in the rest of Wiltshire, it's a kind of conduit. It's a way of encouraging people to go and join a dance group in another place that isn't kind of coddled like Doorway is. So it's giving people the confidence to live the life that they want to live by giving them those small steps. The venue change is going to be amazing. So at the moment we're 2 days a week, and we have had lots of feedback about Doorway only being open 2 days a week. So, we're here. We're going to be here for 5 days. 5 days. So those rough sleepers, those people who are finding themselves out with nothing, will always have somewhere to go. So watch this space. In the next 12 months, we'll be here 5 days a week.
5 days. That's perfect.
In a managed way. We're not going to run before we can walk.
No, of course.
We just need to make sure
we
do things properly.
What about employment and training? What's the sort of...
Well, we refer people normally to a local organisation called Go Train, and they do pre-employment training for people who've been out of work for a while, and for NEETs. Not in education or employment or training. And that's free.
As opposed to very tidy people that turn up on time and say, I don't know, got anything for me?
Exactly. So we probably will want to be doing a little bit more of that. We do have a writing group at the moment, and we have an amazing couple of poets actually in our guest group who just keep producing these incredible
Do you know that we do our open mic online every week?
Oh, it's online, yes.
So what I'm thinking, because we have poetry on that, you don't know, it can be anonymous. You just record it and send it to our whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it can either have a name, author, it could be visual, it could be. Check them out.
I'll do that.
I think tonight, because it's a Wednesday, I don't know when the show's going out, but tonight will be our 46th. So we've done it from the first week of lockdown, right the way through. Well, because again, I think we've talked before about the need to be adaptable in every situation. That goes right across the board with our young people that we work with our senior citizens that we work with. A lot of people don't know that Canada works right across the community. So in each of those areas, there will be aspects of particularly with this pandemic, that people are completely not, as you said before, upside down with schooling, education.
Yeah.
One thing that's even things out in a way, I think, is mental health.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if you didn't have mental health problems before, and a lot of people did, and that was a rising thing, definitely going to have it now. So you don't before you'll have it. If you did have it before, it's compounded. Do you have a specific mental health intervention with Doorway, or are you, are there volunteers that are failing it?
Yep, we recently, all the staff recently became mental health first aiders. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah, that was amazing, and it's really important for us to do that.
Yeah.
All the volunteers get training in mental health awareness, and some of them have individually in other places got a mental health first aid qualification. We have a counsellor who is available to our guests who need kind of immediate 30 minutes or an hour with our counsellor. We want to expand on that because that's the thing that you can really see that there's a gap in provision. And even where the provision is good, you have to wait. You have to wait at least 6 weeks, sometimes a lot longer.
I was going to say, if you're lucky, at 6 weeks, because we have an ever-rising, as you have, amount of people coming to us now with either previous mental health situations that have been exacerbated by this situation, or a whole new set of... Bizarrely, the young people predominantly that were with us before the pandemic, because we built up the relationships we built, are really thriving. They've got conflict, because most people think that, and they're right, that young people that go through a normal school scenario have had their lives turned upside down and they're struggling, and they are, and there wasn't enough Wi-Fi, wasn't enough laptops, there wasn't enough of anything. And their lives have been turned upside down. Because we're key workers and our young people can either come in if they want to, or we have already set up systems so that they're in touch with us all the time, and we have a counsellor, etc., we are able to continue that. But the new, what do we call the new, I'm going to say the new intake, but it's not, just because it's ever rising. There's a tsunami of people.
Experienced it before, and we've seen through the lockdowns actually much more severe episodes of mental illness. So we've had to twice call 999 for somebody because they've been in psychosis, and that is potentially dangerous for themselves and anybody around them. And we've never done that since, we've done 3 999s since the pandemic started, and before that I think we may have done 1 in 3 years. It's much more serious than it was. But one of the challenges that people who come to us have is they don't have access to the digital world that everybody else does. They don't have smartphones, they don't have Wi-Fi because they don't have anywhere. They're often vulnerable people, so may lose or have any equipment that they are given stolen from them. And that's one of our biggest challenges actually going on, is how do we make sure that people are not left out because there is so much that you can access online, and they don't even have access to that.
Absolutely.
So it's been one of the bonuses of the pandemic that all this stuff's popped up online.
Yeah.
It's still not accessible though to certain groups of
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
It's a conundrum. It's a really difficult problem, that one, because if they don't have the kit, they don't have the kit. But is there a way that we can somehow improve access to another kind of kit, which means they don't have to own an iPad or a smartphone?
Yeah.
But it's a big question, and we need to work with somebody who just thinks about that stuff, because we can't come up with the solution. We know that what the problem is. We need to find the people that can give us the solution.
And they could be out there, they could be a local business or a national business or an international business that would like to help this wonderful woman with this particular challenge.
Yeah.
So, new place, new vision, lots of new opportunities. Have you heard of Avon Needs Trees?
I have.
Right. You see that we've put some of their stuff in the window?
Yes, I saw that.
I can't think that they couldn't... Well, I can't think. I can't, as you can tell, I can't think. I shouldn't think. I shouldn't be allowed out of my house. Maybe there should be a link. You could make a link with those good people.
Love to do that.
Wouldn't you? We've just started to, and I'm really excited. We're going to have a few people on this very podcast to talk more about that. But that whole contact with nature and not necessarily growing, although they are growing trees and creating a community forest as such, and doing forest schools, which are really interesting. It's really good for mental health, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's a really good thing for anybody at all, so why wouldn't it be for your clients?
Yeah.
That's worthy of an exploration. Do you know the people there?
Don't think so.
Right, well all the details are in that thing, but I'm sure we'll get them to anyway, but I'm going to go across there. We're going to do some filming and what have you of the place, because I'm really inspired and impressed by it, and obviously we want to bring our young people there, and part of the cultural exchange thing we're doing, we already had come up with the idea we need to do a carbon offsetting, yeah. So it was going to be a local project here, one in Croatia, one in Ireland, so they're all going to do different ones. Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. So they get to compare and contrast biodiversity, river, water, sea, air, flower, fauna. I'm looking at myself now, I sound like David Attenborough when he was younger and he was in a club. I don't know where he was. So he didn't speak like that. He can speak like that if he wants. What's the matter with you? He can do what he wants. David Attenborough, he's a legend.
From up north.
Yeah, yes. So, nature, trees.
Yeah.
If you had, so I ask a lot of people, what's the first thing they're going to do? Lots of people ask this. What's the first thing they're going to do when the pandemic finishes? What's your...
We're going to go camping.
Fantastic.
Yes, because one of my big brothers owns a wood, actually.
You're kidding?
No.
Where? I'll tell you. Let me tell you.
It's in Hampshire.
Hampshire? That's miles away. People that listen to Hampshire.
Well, he lives... there are lots of us from all over the country. So he's got this little wood, which actually is a memorial to my parents who both died. And then he bought that to remember them. So we go there to remember Mum and Dad. But we go there to camp every now and then anyway. And we've been wanting to go camping for ages, but haven't been allowed to. So that's what we're going to do first.
That's fantastic. We did actually buy lots of camping equipment for our young people because we had planned to do, as part of our, we're doing a film up in Northumberland, which we've done a sort of preview of, and we were going back to film and having some of our young people here camping, visiting Scotland, visiting all the Northumberland coast and everything else, and being in the film. So basically we've got loads of camping equipment. We haven't been able to go anywhere. So if you want to borrow any nice new, brand new camping equipment, we've got to, hopefully we'll be able to go there soon. With regard to your clients, your guests, if there were people out there that wanted to get involved, wanted to offer services, is that a thing? How could they get in contact?
Yes. That's always a thing. Yeah, we have a lot of volunteers on our books. We've got about 50 who do a mixture of the drop-ins or the cooking. We've got a couple of IT volunteers.
With the amazing Mary Cornby.
We have the amazing Mary Cornby.
She's going to go on the show soon as.
Master of all trades.
Well, she is, but a fantastic artist.
Yes.
Do you know? This is this exhibition here is for the refugee project. One of the bits that's missing is Mary Cornby's, because when we did the exhibition in London and Mel C came to sing, she looked at it and said, "This is amazing, this is amazing," and then saw Mary Cornby and goes, "Hey, that's beautiful, that's great, isn't it?" So Mary, God bless her, gave it at our 20th anniversary being presented it to Mel C. So I can't show people what that is, but she's got amazing stuff. So you've got people like that. You've got some really gifted people working alongside.
Yes, and Mary's volunteered for us for a long time.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of volunteers who've been with us for years, which is brilliant because it means that we have the commitment and the continuity of people that we know really well, and they know Doorway really well. So even if I fell off this perch today, Doorway would be fine because it's managed and run basically by the volunteers, and they're fantastic. So we're always looking for more people because people's circumstances change and they have to go and do other things, or they need to look after family. So yeah, find us through on the website probably is the best place to start. Otherwise, we're really looking for cash. And I hate saying that because it's not what people like to give, but it's what we really need. And often the best way to do that is if you're doing a fundraising event, that's amazing for us because we've really missed out on that this year. We love vouchers, so we buy lots of tents from Argos. So Argos vouchers, Sainsbury's vouchers, Morrison's vouchers, anything like that, where we can buy what we need at the time. Yeah. We have recently had a bit of an issue with storage. I don't know if you've looked recently at our Facebook page, but there's a very interesting post on there that one of our staff put up. And we talked about it before she put it up, and we were just being inundated, like the other charity shops actually, with stuff that people were offloading. So whenever anybody wants to help a charity, just think, what do they actually need?
Yes. That's a very good point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing to talk about, but it has to be said.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it creates work.
Yeah, well, it is, and it does nowhere near the good that was intended, and creates a logistic problem that actually you're not geared up to do. You're geared up with a much more, if you don't mind me saying, much more urgent case of actually feeding, clothing and sheltering people.
Absolutely.
So I get it. A lot of people, particularly, there's a little visitor there we have from the nature reserve down the road, or is it Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I met him.
Did you? Oh, let's talk about that. Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers with Melanie C. How was that? It's good. At Reading Festival. They were awful. I love them. They were awful. Reading Festival.
Were they? They were amazing.
Oh, they've got to be amazing sometimes. I'm just being honest. On that day, they were kind of not on.
My husband's aunt
is Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Worked for the music publishers that their music publishers basically, and she was good friends with the Flea's brother, Chad's brother.
Right.
So
I mean, they are fun. Don't get me wrong, they are fantastic.
They were amazing.
Yeah,
we got super passes to go and see them in Earl's We got beyond the VIP pass.
You were actually in the band.
In there.
In the band. Playing. Yes, that is. This is filmed as well.
Sorry.
Well, you don't be sorry to me. I'm not the person that's running that.
We were, sharing their turkey.
I love their music, don't get me wrong. And I sound like I'm a terrible person, but it was the same time she got me to go and see in the same festival, Biffy Clyro, never heard of them, amazing, blew my mind. But I was so looking forward, I think that's partly it, and I think they were doing Reading and Leeds at the same time. Not the same time, but the night after. Yeah. And they'd done Leeds the night before. And they were tired, and they just got, it's a hard one when you see a band criticising their crowd.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I was like, mate, listen, I know that in sometime soon I'm going to meet a wonderful woman from Doorway who's going to really tell me how lovely you've been. But at this point in my time, I just want to say, I'm disappointed with you, Flea, and your lads. They are good, they. Oh, that's good then.
That was an amazing experience for us. Yeah, we were there so long we actually got locked in to it was cold. Yeah, it was a hell of a night. Yeah.
Wow. When was that?
2006.
Wow. I'm going to have a private conversation about this. This is amazing. Sorry about that. Right, quick one. You used to work in, as you said, in property, right? I've always had this thought, because I'm, homelessness, and it's interesting because not only did she release that single, she wrote the single, If That Were Me, because she travels all over the world, and she just got this thing, homeless people everywhere. No matter where they went, bicycles went here, there, and everywhere. There was always homeless people. Not in the VIP, not in the gigs, bizarrely, as you can imagine. But so she wrote that song, and in England we got and we did the homeless projects. And I was always thinking that if we had a rule in this country that you couldn't have 2 houses until everyone had one, what would you think about that? Imagine that. It's a rule, a law, a thing. Can't have 2 houses. Don't worry about it. You only need one.
Yeah, that's a nice ambition. I commend that as an ambition.
Thank you. Thank you. But what do you think? Do you think, right, see how this other thing...
Well, there are other ways of doing that.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah.
Tell me,
So
because I want to learn, man. I want to learn.
You could say that you could massively increase the tax on second homes and then do a bit of... there's this particular word for it where you use the money raised from something in a certain way.
Yeah.
I can't remember the word for it. And you could allocate that budget to building
Only...
really good quality, properly, actually affordable social housing.
Right, okay.
So that would encourage people to buy second homes because they would be helping build.
Okay, mine goes like this. Oh, God, I wish everyone had a house so I can have a second home and make some money out of that. And then you go, well, we just vote that everyone's got to have a house, yeah? How many people we got in the country? Boom, right, okay. So imagine that. We do either your one or mine. How about this one? This will get you, because this is interesting. I think, right, we've had a laugh, royalty, had a laugh, it's been great crack, don't get me wrong, we all like a good party, particularly in the streets, with the streets playing. What about the palaces, which is fundamentally owned by the people, are just sort of museums, right? And rich people could maybe put their names onto the paintings, like, say, if you had a Harriet Wyatt painting, and it was in the Queen's whatever collection, which couldn't be her collection because, let's face it, it's the English people who have tax money. And you were Sheikh Mahbouti, right, and you wanted to buy that, but you couldn't buy it because it'd have to stay in the palace, but you got to come to say, look at me, my name is here, I've done that. But all the people that lived in England, or, well, it's still the United Kingdom, could come because you've got a passport, you live here, and it's cheaper. But if you're a tourist, you have to pay quite a lot, and if you really, really wanted to spend a lot of money, you could pay to sleep in what was the Queen's bedroom, what was Prince Philip's, don't know what he does in his place, but imagine it's a bedroom as well, quite a big one. Do you see what I'm saying? So they would be retired gently into some of the gatehouses on the estates, right? But people would come and visit. The money, you like this, don't you? The money that's going from the entrance fees, keeping the upkeep instead of it being tax money, and the excess social housing. Woohoo! What do you think?
Anything that raises money for social
I
housing
love
is
you, Jo.
good.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on the
No, you don't have to. You don't have to because it's a natural conclusion.
Yeah.
Any enlightened country, think about it, they get to that point and go, whoa, 1 second, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why have we got people, we've got really small families living in big palaces, and we've got homeless people. Homeless people, palaces. Take your pick, people. What do you want? People or palaces? People or palaces?
Yeah.
You've got 2 choices here.
Yeah, well, you go for people.
You've got to go for people.
Yeah.
Every second I spend with you is a second spent in the company of wonderment. We've gone from homelessness, which is one of the crux, besides climate change and all the environmental things, of course. Homelessness. It is so... it goes on. It goes on. And people could say to me, oh, what have you done about that? Well, unfortunately, I actually have done quite a bit in my time to... Not enough, of course, we could all do more.
Well, we all just need to work together, really. It's all about integrating and communicating to people. We mustn't get into our little caves and stay there.
Absolutely.
We have to get out there and talk about it and share things, introduce people to people,
Yeah.
and support people that need support.
Right, I'm going to leave it there because listen, this lady said that and I know nothing compared to her. I'm looking forward to doing many, many more things with us as organisations. Of course, getting back to the football as one of the things. We have to have, generally speaking, we have had years where we've had female teams up there. We've talked about having a female team with Kev back in the day from Doorway.
We really want a mixed team.
Just have it. Let's
Not
why?
had one.
I know the FA thing. I know. But we have to find a way as individuals, okay, where we can do something like that. Because likewise, at Can Do, we have female members of staff who are fantastic at many more things than I'll ever be good at. Trust me. And some of that sport, they always laugh. I love it. They're Amazonian, and they look nothing like that. They just commit themselves to doing all manner of crazy things for the benefit of our participants. So that does unfortunately end up getting a ball kicked in your face because, you know, it happens regularly. I mean, it happens to me just when I'm sitting in the front room because they're just like hurting me because I deserve it and they can't miss this space. How dare you, Rebecca? I resemble that remark. But more activities that involve females, sporting ones, don't care what the sport is, but you're saying the mixed team, I think we should find a way to do that.
Yeah.
We might have to sign off a disclaimer none of us can ever...
Well, I think you can do it, but just not under the FA rules.
No, but our tournament is obviously with the rules and it's got the FA, but we can do How about this? How about this then? Just for the football one, why don't we have a standalone tournament which is just female?
I don't think we'd have enough girls.
No, but you don't have to. As I'm saying, they don't have to be your team against our team. However many people are there, to have that we're very fortunate, aren't we, man? We get to use Stanley Park. It's a fantastic facility. But only 1 year have we had loads of females. There's loads of female football teams around, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about our collective tournament. It's like, okay, how many is there? What are we going to do? We'll stop them playing because there's only 9 of them. No. Whatever it is, they get a day to do that as well, and we treat it the same. So we can develop that at least.
Definitely.
Anything else? Any wishes and wonders? Yes, money. We're trying to collectively do stuff that we can help raise money and awareness. And I love the idea that you're going to be really visual in Chippenham.
Yes. With the proviso that we will protect people that need protecting. We're not going to be open.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think the idea of it being, and it's beautiful where you are, no doubt, and it's great the Salvation Army exists in it, and if you have that, that's fantastic. What I'm talking about is, it's such a basic human right. The idea, maybe the reason why we don't do more about it is because it's been deliberately hidden away. Now, I'm not accusing any governments or people or anyone of doing that. It just happens to be what it is.
I think there is an element of truth in there.
Well, I try my hardest to brush up against truth every now and again. I think it does me and a few people I know a lot of interesting favours. Without being, so I get you, without it being an open house, it will be more...
Yeah. And the other thing that I would ask other people to do for us, on behalf of us, is talk to people on the street.
Yeah.
So if you see somebody who's lying in a doorway or even just sitting in a doorway, just say hello.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's one of the things, invisible. Exactly that. Eye contact in a way that you would, I mean, that's the thing I really picked up and down the country was, it's like we're invisible. So that was the year 2000, so 21 years ago. It never left me. But when you hear someone say, if people just even looked at us and said, and of course, that's got to be the cheapest thing we can do. If you haven't got any money, and that often happens. If you haven't got any money, if you haven't got anything other than eye contact and a bit of humanity, are you connected at all to? Is there any part of what you do connected to the big issue?
No. I don't know if you can, I haven't looked into it in that much detail, but I think the big issue is a pretty much standalone organisation where they allow their sellers who are previously homeless,
Yeah.
to make a living,
Yeah.
as a step up into other work.
Yeah. Is there a way that we can develop something similar for Doorway in Chippenham?
There are probably some things that we could do. We need to look at offering more opportunities to people that need work experience. Yeah, so yes, that's the answer.
So work experience, you know these wonderful stools that we're sitting on? They are from Wiltshire Wood Recycling. Now, eventually, and me and Louis agreed on this, they should be toad stools, you not think? Now, up until the point before lockdown, the wonderful people at Wiltshire Wood Recycling, we've got a load of things, the Christmas trees in the window, you've got to go out there. It's amazing, the stuff that,
Oh, I've been there actually.
Yeah, and they've got some really old oak, it's amazing.
They've got some huge ones of these as well.
Absolutely. So we donated these and we said, we've got the young people to upholster them. And in case anyone thinks that we've got some sort of slave labour, children exploitation thing, we do chimneys. Or they do, I don't. I just there go, all right then, Dodger. Our young people made these stools. Stuff like that, not this particularly, but I'm saying the work experience, the idea that there's, like, over these trees, it's a practical but enlightening and enlivening activity. Yes, for the environment, yes, for the individuals, etc., and the community. So organisations that might do, because we used to work with Green Square back in the day, doing a project called Whatever, which was preparing young people who would need not in education, employment and training, just for those people that are thinking about doing it at the times right about now, to get into employment, and then also a project called What Now, which was for people that had been out of work for many whatever, and just getting something practical that you can do on a regular basis that will allow you to get back into the motion of preparing for.
Yeah.
There's going to be thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people unemployed now.
Yeah.
So how people see their value, and this is, I worry and I fear for lots of people, that somehow, because their jobs, look at us now in this retail sector, you know, Dorothy Perkins has just been bought by whatever, somebody or whoever bought it. ASOS. Will this reopen as Dorothy Perkins? Something like that. Will this be open as a Dorothy Perkins? No, because they won't have these stores, they'll have online whatever. That was always going to happen. That was always talked about for years. These spaces are here though. Now, not necessarily just this one, but all over the country there will be open, empty spaces. An ideal opportunity, we've talked about maybe having a store, if this opens physically, having a store, doorway, fundraising, practical, could be skills-based. We've got sewing machines over there, learning to repair stuff, learning to make whatever. All sorts, art projects, in situ. But it would be fantastic about having, if we get a chance to open, have a doorway related stall which gives the information and offers that interchange and opportunity. Yeah. What say you?
Definitely, we're open for all sorts of conversations like that. Yeah, we need to be doing as much as we can that practically helps individuals that come to us for help.
Perfect. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Jo, say your last name again, please.
Kitching.
Look, it's not difficult at all, but we have my wife's friend. My wife is Croatian, and her friend is called Dorothy. Now, you see, this is where I have the... See, the first name definitely Dorothy is anything? No one? No one's going to help me, no one. Doesn't matter what her name is. It does to her, I'm sure. She's a wonderful artist, and we have just bought lots of her art to sell. Sorry for not knowing your name, Jo.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's
Kitching. Jo Kitching from Doorway. We'll meet again. This doesn't have to be the last time you're on this thing. Anytime you've got any new stuff or any advice, or you want anyone to come on this podcast there to show to the community or to communicate to the community
Brilliant.
What you're doing and how you're doing it, or if you need help, please take us up on that offer. And obviously we've got a music studio and stuff. There's other stuff we can do along the board.
Fantastic.
About doing music and what have you. You are a wonderful person. I want to talk to you a little bit more off camera about backstage. Hey? Shh. Be quiet out there. Everyone go to bed now, yeah? Me and Jo will talk about stuff. Right, thank you very much. And thank you, little flea. Here's a flea. Can we just do a little? Can we do a little, you know, a song? Chili pepper song. Can we just quickly just do it? God, can we not just do a chili pepper song?
Probably don't know any, do you?
They do, of course. They listen.
I'm on the spot, man.
Yeah. He's aware. His dad. I was in bands with his dad. I was about to say 25 years ago. Probably 35 years ago. Amazing musician.
Really?
Ashley Webb. Yeah. Everyone gets in their bands. I think if they're lucky. He's on most of the stuff. He plays all the stuff with Mel C. He does that with us when she comes over to record. He does it. He's at S.H.O.P. Anyway, that's us finished, is it? Thank you both, Rebecca and
Thank you
Louis.
very much.